All right, we're live. GM, everybody. Welcome to what's going to be another great DevNTell here. So if you didn't know, DevNTell is a 30-minute podcast for builders to showcase something they're passionate about or have been working on in Web3 or otherwise. This can be an awesome project you've been working on, demonstrating you and testing best practices, automation goodies, smart contracts, how to structure a project, etc. Basically, if you got a passion for something, this is your opportunity to share it with the community. And I'm happy to have back on after a long hiatus, Vinny, who is actually an OG developer DAO member, lurking, we'll say. But welcome to the show, Vinny. Happy to have
Thanks.
you back on here.
You reminded me that I'm an OG, even though I'm not in the DAO anymore because of, well, I don't want to talk about it. It's embarrassing, but I got my wallet hacked. But I haven't been in the DAO for a while, but you just reminded me that, you know, the little emojis like emoji, comma, emoji.
Yeah.
That was my idea that got accepted. So I feel very
Nice.
proud of that accomplishment. The brick, comma, rocket ship. Rocket ship or whatever it is. Yeah, I forget.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
So I guess beyond that, if folks aren't familiar with yourself, do you want to give a brief intro?
Yeah. Sure. Like a lot of people in developer DAO know, there's like a big focus on, and Narb and I were just talking about it, a big focus on developer relations. So I'm a career switcher, and I got my first DevRel job actually in Web3 space through developer DAO, and I'm still in the DevRel space for a full stack framework, Wasp, which is a lesser known one, but we're growing fast. So if you haven't heard about it, you'll hear about it today, because I'll be presenting Open SAS, and I used Wasp to build it. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. And I've been looking a little bit into Wasp and seeing your posts on Twitter about Open SAS, and that's kind of how it piqued my interest. I was like, I'm waiting for Vinny to finish this out to get it to a point where he's like ready to share it, and I'm going to reach out. Cool. And lo and behold, we're here today. I guess do you want to get right into the content?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Yeah, sure, for sure. Okay, so thank you, Narb, for the invitation and introduction and everything. Open SAS it's nothing special, and it is special at the same time, because you guys have probably seen there's like a million paid SaaS boilerplate starters out there these days, and I thought it was kind of crazy. And people on my team, we were talking about it, that like they're selling these things for upward, like from $300 to like $1,000, depending on which one you buy, and there are a million of them all over the place, and it's just a boilerplate starter. So why don't we create our own and open source it? And that's exactly what we did, and it's pretty cool. It's gone over way better than we expected. As you can see here, we've got at the moment over 3,500 stars, which is, yeah, it's been fun to see that grow so far. And yeah, what can I say about it? It's a SaaS boilerplate starter for React and Node.js that leverages Wasp as the full stack framework. And the reason that's why it has superpowers. Wasp is essentially a DSL. So it's got a config file and a compiler, and Wasp is able to generate and maintain the boilerplate for you that you would normally have to code yourself if you're, something like auth, for example. One of those annoying things, like you've done it a million times, but it's a ton of boilerplate. Well, Wasp through its compiler can actually do that for you in an opinionated way. But yeah, before I get too much into Wasp itself, let's talk about Open SAS. The features, I made a very cool promo video, which you guys should take the time to watch. I had fun making that. The great draw of Open SAS is that it is as open source as we can possibly make it. We try to focus on other open source tools. Wasp is open source. We went with, you can choose Google Analytics, or you can go with a open source alternative like Plausible. So yeah, at the core is kind of an open source philosophy. like I said, we've got DIY auth, so you don't have to focus on it, or you don't have to use any third-party providers like something like Clerk or Auth0 or something that can be really costly. You own your auth, which is great. Full stack type safety, we'll get into that. There's Stripe integration, but I'm in the future plans are Bitcoin and crypto payments. We've got a full admin dashboard that's pulling all your analytics from Plausible and revenue statistics and things like that. Email sending, got some demo apps with OpenAI function calling, file uploads with AWS, pre-signed URLs are already set up in there as examples, and so you don't have to do all of the configuration from scratch. Wasp builds to a React and Node app, so you can deploy it anywhere easily. You're not locked in and paying crazy fees for hosting providers, or you choose the hosting provider you want. An optional blog with Astro, and I went ahead and documented everything as well as I could. So those are the features. And yeah, let me see. I wrote down here a little game plan. I would do a short demo first. So why don't we do that? We just talked about the features. Here we have, I'll just log out. Here we have login, and it's loaded with Google, GitHub, and email and password. Here is the AI demo app. So I've got just, it's using OpenAI function calling, which is a really cool feature, so that you're able to return JSON like in the format that you want. So you always get a consistent answer from the thing. So I created this like scheduler, right? So I wrote something stupid here, but you add a few tasks, give it the hours that you're going to work on for those tasks, like maybe 3 hours for one, 1.5 for another, and how many hours during that day you're going to work. And you click generate, and it will generate a kind of plan and break down each of those tasks into subtasks for you. So it's like not a crazy example that you might want to build a SaaS around, but it's just going to get you started, maybe spark some ideas for how you can use function calling and the OpenAI API to like build a SaaS app. So why don't we try that in action? Let's see how good it actually is at the moment. Like, let's put learn Wasp on there. Let's put watch DevNTell video and write a blog post about DevNTell and Wasp. And those are pretty good. We'll do 1.5 for that one. We'll do 2 for that one. And we'll say that's going to take us 5 hours. We'll generate. At the moment, I've got it set up using GPT 3.5, so it's probably not the best. But yeah, there you go. I sent back, puts it in priority for you. Yeah, breaks them down and gives you a nice little to-do list so you can be organized and stuff and feel cool. So yeah, all the code is there. It's yours. Check out, change, delete, whatever you want to do with it. Same with file upload. It's just showing you how to use AWS S3 with pre-signed URLs. You've got Stripe hooked up at the moment with webhooks and everything. You basically just put in your product IDs and you're good to go. And then full-on documentation. So everything is like Stripe integration, how to do it all, walk you through everything step by step. So that's pretty cool. And another nice feature is the admin dashboard, which is actually hooked up to analytics at the moment. And it's hooked up to the Stripe test products. So when people check out and stuff. So like this is all the people trying out Open SAS, the deployed version. And we see that like we've had 280 people make payments with the fake test products. So we've gotten revenue of a sweet revenue of almost 12 grand here. And then you can also see the plausible analytics, like where the site traffic is coming from, mostly coming from Google, GitHub, or directly. We got some stuff coming from Medium and also some SaaS boilerplates, GitHub repo, stuff like that, a bit on Reddit. Yeah, so like all this is hooked up. user able, a bunch of components in here that you can use. So yeah, that's like a huge win right there. All you have to do is put in your analytics script and your like you hook up your API keys and client IDs for Stripe, and you get all this information as well. So yeah, that's pretty much the features of Open SAS. Besides that, is open source, like I said, so anyone is free to open issues, contribute. We've had a few contributions already. We've got a bunch of issues lined up. We've already knocked a bunch of issues down. Yeah, what more can I say there? I thought maybe next, if you guys got questions or anything, just feel free to leave them in the comments or in the chat. I'll be happy to answer them on the fly. But if not, I will go over the WTFs. So, well, we kind of did that already. What is Open SAS? And a lot of people kind of are skeptical, like, why would you build this and give it away for free? And the first reason I kind of already mentioned was like, we just think it's kind of crazy that there isn't an open source community maintained good SaaS boilerplate out there, and all these other ones that people are selling for $1,000. It's just kind of crazy. And the other reason is Wasp as a framework we think is like perfect to build SaaS apps. So this is a great way for us to get people kind of onboarded and using Wasp, of course. And what do we expect from you? Well, if you would like to contribute, like I said, we don't have crypto payments at the moment, but I've been researching some stuff. So I know Developer DAO, you guys are probably way more in tune with this stuff than I am. So like, even if just dropping an issue saying, hey, this would be the best route to go for Web3 payments, I would really appreciate that. That would be cool. And I can look into doing that. Or if you're feeling helping out would be awesome. So yeah, before I continue, Narb, how does that sound so far? Any questions from your side?
No, this looks really, really cool, man. I guess one question for me is, so is it like a one-line kind of command to get your own SaaS up and running? And essentially, and maybe you'll be showing that later on, but
Sure.
Is the idea that once you have this thing spun out, you get all of that. You get like the dashboards and the OpenAI connectivity and the Stripe payments all out of the box? Or is there sweet?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, yeah, continue.
Yeah, and I was gonna add, as well as the documentation. I know the documents you showed at the end there were how to configure Stripe and whatnot, but essentially is that the ongoing documents that the user can configure to be their own set of docs for their SaaS.
Right. The thing is the docs that it comes with, it also has like a template version. Like everything you see on the deployed version of Open SAS is what you would get when you clone the template or fork the template. So yeah, you have your SaaS can have those docs, and you can configure them however you want and change them however you want. And with that also comes a blog as well and stuff. So yeah, everything I just showed you is what you're getting as well when you get the template. And
awesome.
There are 2 cool ways to get the template. So GitHub has this nice use this template feature where you'll get a clean version with one initial commit of the current version of it, which is nice. And the thing that makes Wasp really cool is that like if you start a new Wasp app via doing something like Wasp new command, you can enter your project, you say SaaS, and you get this list of cool templates that you can use. And you can see here we've got SAS, and SAS gives you the most current version of Open SAS. So you see right there, you can check out Open SAS. So those are the 2 ways you can pull the project, the template, and get it. Yeah. So since we're talking about, since we're in the editor here, why don't I show you a little bit of what gives Open SAS superpowers, how Wasp is like connected in all of this, and yeah. what that's all about. So for example, I'll just go ahead quickly first thing and show you the what is your command center when you use Wasp as a framework, and it's the main.wasp file. So we have this JSON-like syntax, and it's just a simple config file where you're saying, this is my app, here's the title, here's just some scripts ahead, like we've got OG tags and stuff like that. And your analytics script might be in there, for example. And this is the kind of auth I want. This is a really powerful, this is where Wasp really shows its power. And this is why I say it's a SaaS template with superpowers. So you just define this object like auth. What's my user entity in the database? It's user. What methods do I want? And then you can choose. Right now we've got username and password. So let's go ahead and start up the app. And Wasp gives you a really great way to start a dev Postgres instance, right? You've got Docker started already, Docker running in the background on your machine, and you just write wasp db start, and it'll start a Postgres instance for you that you can connect to. So in a different terminal, then we can write wasp start, and this is going to start our app. And remember, it's a Node app and a React Vite React app for the client. So with that, we've got an app running or the template, Open SAS template. This is what it looks like when you get a clean version, running with a local development Postgres instance, which is really sick because you don't know how many times what is it again? Start a clean Postgres instance, all that stuff, and you can just Control-C, start it and stop it like this, which I really love. That's such a time saver. So right, we said we got, what was the, oops, I got the presentation jitters, man. Get me out of here. So we said auth with username and password, right? So we go to login, very simple username and password. You can sign up and all that stuff. But let's say we want to give it let's give it the good old Google auth, because we all love Google. So we put that. The app will recompile, and then we should see if it happens correctly. Let me make sure the app is running, and it is. All right, there we go. So when it recompiled, we get Google right away. And because I have in my environment variables, I have the Google client ID and stuff like that, and the secret, I can go ahead and should be able to log in right away with Google. But I'm not. Maybe restart. But basically, of course, something has to go wrong when you're presenting, right? But basically what I can show is that when Wasp does the compilation in the background, it's giving you access to, it's generating a component for you, which is the login form here. So we just import the login form and we put it on our page there. And when we change the auth methods that we want, we say we want Google or we want GitHub, then it'll automatically regenerate that login form right here and then spit that out. And that's why we can see the changes on the fly there. And right, I can log in with Google. So I can do the same thing. Let's see, just as an example, I'm sorry. Go back to the main.wasp file. Let's say I want GitHub, right? And we do the same thing. Now you can customize these, of course, with certain, you can take the profile stuff you're getting from GitHub or Google through OAuth 2, and you can configure those how you want, or you can just stick with the defaults. And let's see here, make sure it's compiling, and it is. And go back. And let's go back to localhost. Let's see, I'm getting some problems here, but let me try again. And we should see on the login page, we'll see the GitHub. Log out, log in, right. And then we got the GitHub there. We should be able to log in with GitHub. Yep. And because I've already logged in, it logs in. So yeah, that shows you kind of quickly in a nutshell why having an abstraction layer, this config file as an abstraction layer on top of your full stack app can make things really simple, can simplify a lot of things for you. So the cool thing about that is that it's not just limited to auth, right? We've got like a bunch of things we can do. We've got, for example, you can write the operations or your backend functions without having to configure your entire server. So what that looks like is pretty simple. We've got like a queries file here, and we've got, for example, I've created this get all users, get all tasks by user function for the AI demo. And that's just, it's a pretty simple CRUD function. It's taking all the tasks via Prisma. It's just saying return all the tasks for this user, right? And by writing that and typing it in a file and then giving get all tasks, in the Wasp file, defining it as a query, and we tell it where it is. Now this gives Wasp the ability to create the server for us, inject that function, and also make it available to us on the front end, right? So with that, because we've defined the get all tasks by user function in the main.wasp file, we've can go to our demo app page, and we can say import it here. Wasp gives it to us. We can import get all tasks by user. Then if you use React query, this will look familiar because this is React query. We use query, and then we get the tasks inferred, the types inferred correctly on the front end. And so we didn't have to do anything. We didn't have to set up tRPC. We didn't have to set up and configure our Express server, for example. We just gave the function to Wasp via the Wasp file, and then we can import it on the front end with type inference and everything else, which is awesome because it's typed in the backend. So that's another huge time saver there of Wasp. And let's see. You have the same thing with cron jobs. We can just define a function, and we can tell, for example, Wasp that we want to run that calculate daily stats function, which is the function that's running the admin dashboard, that's pushing the stats to the admin dashboard, basically. This runs every hour. So it's just a function that gets and parses a bunch of the data from Stripe and from my Plausible analytics, and it puts it all together in some nice objects, saves into the database, and then makes it available on the admin dashboard. So this is all you need. You don't have to configure. We're configuring PG-Boss in the background in Wasp for you. All you have to do is give any asynchronous function to this job definition here, and with the correct cron schedule, and it'll run automatically for you because we're using a Postgres database, right? This will run via PG-Boss, which is a job scheduler for Postgres. So another cool thing, really nice, right? I just write the function, I just tell it what to return, and I don't have to worry about the configuring the job and stuff like that. So makes your life a lot easier when you're building a SaaS because you don't have to depend on some third-party cron service or something like that as well. I really like that. That's one of my favorite features. Let's see, where's our schedule thing here? Oh, another cool little experimental feature that we've got that I really like that will become more useful in the future, but it's just nice for WoWs right now, is Studio. So because you have this central config file that is like the instructions for your app, we can do some pretty cool stuff with it. And that is show you a schematic of your entire app and how here's your job, right? How it runs, what your queries and actions are like, which entities they're connected to in the database, and what kind of auth your app is using and all this stuff, and spit it out in this nice, cool, fun graphic. But the cool thing about this is that in the future, this will actually enable you to build some new components, edit some components, generate components just through a little Visual Studio here, and some other cool little features like that. So yeah, let me check real quick and see what else. So yeah, and another thing to mention is that despite in comparison to other frameworks where they claim to be full stack, but they're not really, because they're either serverless or they don't really interact with the database. Wasp does, and it's truly full stack and allows you to deploy wherever you want, because it builds out to a Node and a React apps. And yeah, that's about it for Open SAS and Wasp. Like I said, future plans are just to keep improving it. I'm working on some end-to-end tests right now. And hopefully we can get some Bitcoin and ETH payments in there soon, better SEO, some nice different landing page designs and stuff like that. So yeah, or any other features you guys might want to see, just let us know. Drop an issue in the GitHub, right? Where is it? You can find it on opensas.sh, or yeah, it'll take you here. And yeah, that's about it.
That's quite a bit of feature set built into one one framework. That's actually like amazing.
Yeah, it's
well
pretty
done.
cool.
Yeah,
It's honestly sometimes it's interesting to see, because you'll see like other companies that are built around like basically one of these, like auth, and it'll be like, oh, we manage auth for you. And it's funny because it's like, well, the Wasp as a framework does this plus a bunch of other things, right? So that's one of my favorite things, is stuff like auth and jobs that you don't have to spend all the time configuring all this stuff. These features come out of the box, and it just like, because this is boilerplate that gets written over and over and over again, and it's pretty opinionated to begin with. So you can save a ton of time with an approach like this.
Yeah, definitely. Just curious, do you have any plans for adding a capability to expose a REST API or a GraphQL API? Say somebody wants, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, definitely. You can, just because you have these operations in the backend, like queries and actions that get generated for you, doesn't mean you can't put a publicly exposed API endpoint. That's what the Stripe webhook is, for example. And here, there's a pretty simple way, similar to like defining a job in a Wasp file, to define a custom API endpoint. And then, yeah, you can expose that publicly, or like you said, do other things. So.
Sweet.
Yep.
And I guess on top of that, a lot of the time, a person needs like an API key to be able to interact with those types of APIs.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the tangent is there plans to add API key generation as well?
API key generation to Open SAS?
Yeah. So say you expose a REST API, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then the person needs to authenticate themselves with a client ID and API
Mm-hmm.
key. Instead of building that out for themselves, potentially that can be another little component that you could add in here.
That actually sounds pretty useful for a SaaS, right? That's a cool idea.
Yes.
Please leave an issue,
Sure.
and we'll look into that. I think that's actually something I hadn't considered. Yeah, that's why. That's the benefit of having this open source, is that we can get cool ideas in and yeah, deliver that to people so that they can get SaaS apps going, make some money.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest places I think a lot of people struggle with in creating the REST APIs. It's like they can create the API, but then they're like, oh, now I need to have like an API key and client ID. And like, how do I manage that? But
really good idea. Yeah,
out of the box would be pretty cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, let's do it. That sounds like a great idea. I want to do that.
Sweet. There you go.
Yeah.
Right here on
Yeah.
DevNTell.
Yeah.
And I guess before we conclude today, what's the best way for folks to reach out to you or anybody on the Wasp team if they have questions or want to start contributing to Open SAS? Obviously, they can open an issue here, but is there any other forms of communication?
Yeah. Discord for sure. I think we have our Discord in the documentation right up here. So you can hit up the repo, our Twitter, but we have a questions forum in the Discord, and we have a dedicated Open SAS channel. And another thing we're thinking about doing is creating a 5-day kind of course. So like build an app with, or I'm thinking of creating a video where it's like walk through of building a SaaS app with Open SAS. So there will be like a dedicated Discord channel for that too. Anybody who's like going through that course can get help. So we've been answering a lot of questions in Discord. We reply as quickly as we can. So another cool thing to mention is we've got people using Wasp and Open SAS in really cool places. In the port of Barcelona, we've got it being used internally at some big companies for internal tools. And we've got a bunch of people who have built stuff with Open SAS and sold, like had little micro SaaSes acquired for a few grand and things like that. So yeah, it's being used in production, being used in enterprise scenarios down to like indie hacker scenarios. So that doesn't mean it's perfect. Still could use Open SAS, could still use some tweaking and polishing for sure. But I'm working on it every week, and people are contributing, so it's only going to get better.
Awesome. I love to hear that. And
cool.
Any folks that are viewing this DevNTell or part of Developer DAO, if you want to get started with a SaaS, this seems like the most easiest way to get from 0 to 1. So definitely you'll want to check that out. And we have all the links to all these resources in the YouTube description below. So definitely check that out after you check out this video. But with that, I just want to thank you so much, Vince, for coming on. Really appreciate you taking the time to come on. And before everybody leaves today, I'd like to present you with the QR code to scan to claim your NFT for being an attendee on DevNTell today. So what you want to do is scan this with your regular QR code scanner. Yes. And fill out the form accordingly, and you will be airdropped a NFT on the base network within a couple of days. And you'll have an hour and a half from now to be able to claim that. So again, get out your regular QR code scanner, scan this bad boy, fill out that form, and you'll get airdropped your NFT for being an attendee today. And to sign us off, I want to wish everybody a very happy Friday, happy weekend, wherever you may be. If you're in ETH Denver, enjoy the festivities there. And we will catch you back here next week for another great episode of DevNTell. All right, all. Cheers.